Thank you very much, Hala. And now we're going to have Hala, and she's going to talk about a different kind of learning and learning experience. And we will. See, one of the great challenges, and most of our students are ladies, and they always have interesting challenges. And students and mothers and all other aspects. So you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. So happy to finally meet you here. And first, I'd like to welcome my family, my parents, and my daughter. And I'd like to thank Dr. Hibet Alidi. She was my supervisor, and Dr. Hani Sweden as well, and Dr. Nagwa Magehed was my leader. And I couldn't have done it without all your support. So my area of interest is education for sustainable development. And I'll explain how I got to be very passionate about it. According, I'll go through the literature a bit. So according to the UNDP Human Development Report in 2014, the main challenges facing Egypt are poverty, governance, and environment. In poverty, of course, we can tell that the population is growing enormously, where the population growth is 1.6%. We're expected to be 100 million or more by 2020. But that's not the issue. The issue is we can actually transform this human capital into something that is productive, not only consumers. So how can education be part of this? How can we educate students to be productive, to be creative, and get out of their box? Poverty, of course, we have 26.3% are below the poverty line, which is not actually consistent with the country's economic growth. So this is a big indicator for inequality, especially if we compare rural and urban areas together. Regarding governance, there were many things about governance, political instability, and many issues, but I focused on the civil society part. And at the Weak Citizens Voice, we have very marginal role of civil society, and the civil society do not actually actively participate in development. Regarding the environment, I think we can see now how we're facing challenges regarding water scarcity, rapid depletion of oil and gas, air pollution, and climate change. So for me, ESD came about as a field that integrates all these three aspects together: economy, environment, and society. So how can we use education as an instrument or a tool that educates students to be socially responsible to what they do, to what they learn, and to their environment, and towards their economy. And they need to understand, for sustainable development, they need to work all of these things together. These are some quotes from the literature. The UN General Secretary called it the imperative of the 21st century because it gets people out of poverty, it advances economic growth, and it saves the planet and the environmental center. Many people confuse ESD with environmental education. So it's very important to highlight that environmental education is only a segment of ESD. It's not, ESD takes it into the context of the socio-political issues of equity, poverty, democracy, and equality of life. And the socio-cultural factors as well. Regarding civil society, there was a positive side of civil society and a negative side in the literature. The positive side called it a new superpower. It should have a civilizing influence. It should counterbalance the authoritarian state. So it should be a driver of regime change. The negative side of it, this is, okay. The negative side of civil society calls it a new colonial project. It can be characterized by inequality, violence, and corruption. And sometimes the civil societies that are formed, especially in developing countries, are formed based on people with the same background. So they strengthen bonds with the same people and not actually have a diversity of people. So they can have secret and ritualistic groups and so on. Also, in developing countries, it was mentioned that civil society can be fake. They can work as subcontractors for the government, which is, it's a way to gain access to development aid and to serve different agendas. So, and in the literature also, it was worth mentioning what the Egypt has about the Sustainable Development Strategy for 2030. Their main goal is that we be the top 30 countries in these areas. Economy, to have a strong economy, competitive market, to build our human capital with anti-corruption and happy citizens. Happy citizen is a very big question. General goals, it has nothing solid in it, nothing about the implementation, nothing about what will happen on the ground, how will they work together, what will they do, what entities, what protocols, nothing in practice. What will we do? Nothing. It's just a nice strategy. In my comparative literature, I compared it to the UK. The UK is the leading country in ESD. They incorporated it into their formal education, and they took it in a top-bottom manner from the ministries. They started a long time ago. They're expecting to have all green schools by 2020. Brazil is a country that has similar demographics to Egypt. That's why I use it in my literature. And they adopted a bottom-top reform. So they formed partnerships and social groups from the communities itself that are trying to influence the ministry decisions. Okay, so the case study I did was in El Warraq. It's an ESD initiative. I volunteered to be part of this because I'm very interested in ESD and I wanted to see how will it be perceived by the community. This was an EduCamp 2 project. I'll talk about the stakeholders and everything. So before that, I'll talk about the Warraq context. It's in Giza. They have 1 million inhabitants. It's a poor area and they have high density of students, 75 students per class. And in real life, they actually told me it's 1995. And the very high dropout rate for a very weird reason, because they want to, many of them want to work as tuk-tuk drivers, rickshaw drivers, because it's highly paid in their area. The main objective is to examine the current initiative, of course, and recommend how can ESD be implemented on the ground. The stakeholders that involved in the EduCamp 2 were AUC, Center for Sustainable Development, and they were mainly managing the whole thing. They were the grant applicants and they were the main holder of the fund, and they were managing the whole thing. Seacom Development, they have the technical knowledge of how to implement ESD, so they know how to have a curriculum, formal or informal, to promote ESD. So they do the TOTs, the toolkit itself was prepared by trainers from Seacom Development. The local NGO, Muhibi Umukura, and they were, they have a very poor role to play. As I said, they have marginal role. Civil society is not very strong. So they only did the needs assessment at the beginning. Volunteer girls were trained and they collected the questionnaires. The GIZ, this project was part of the GIZ PDP, Participatory Development Program in urban areas. And they were only a funding agency. They did not, did not interfere in anything. This is the plan, the needs assessment that I talked about this part. The implementation is 3 weeks in 2 public schools in Warraq. I only did a case study in one of the schools, a Sadat school. And my research questions were focused on the main characteristics of ESD curricula, the stakeholders, what are their roles, what they expect to do, what are their suggestions, their perceptions. And I looked at how did the participants actually perceive the collaboration, and how much were they engaged, did they support or resist such an initiative? The methodology I used for my research was a qualitative study. I did 44 semi-structured interviews with all the stakeholders, including parents, students, and teachers. And I did 17 pre and post, a total of 33 questionnaires from the school teachers to get their perceptions about the project and what difficulties they faced and so on. The study participants, the Waraq community, the school is the Sadat school, was my sample. And the framework I used for my data analysis was based on Emerson's open coding system. So I created an ethnographic text from all the data I collected from the interviews. I color-coded the parts that are relevant to each other. Then I put it into sub-themes, and then from the sub-themes I created general themes, three main general themes that were constructed from the data. So I had I did not have any pre-planned themes when I was constructing my data. Okay, so the toolkit was basically, it had 45 activities that focused in these areas: general ESD, agriculture, energy, and water. And they're distributed on two levels, level 1 and 2, for primary and preparatory students. And I analyzed it using a 3D mapping approach, and this was proposed by Dr. Hiba Tagheti in her seminar last semester, and I used it for my analysis because it looks at 3 dimensions: STEAM, ESD, and 21st century skills. And this was the outcome of my analysis. So you can tell that the activities were more focused on the 21st, so it included all the collaboration, the teamwork, the creativity, and it was more, regarding ESD, it was more focused on society and environment. And in the STEAM area, it was more focused on science and art. There was no technology to use, and not engineering because they're primary and preparatory. So it was art and science. And the lower part for economy, I believe, is because when you talk about economy, you get into politics, which is, they don't like to talk about it a lot. This is a part of the pictures I took from there. It includes all what the students did. For example, here this is a selfie stick. He used old materials from home, a metal stick. He had a old cable. He downloaded the Android app, and it works. And it really works. They were very impressive. The students were very creative. Because they want the chance to they worked in groups in the garden. In class, they sat in groups of, the ratio was 17 teachers to 70 students. So there were enough teachers. In real life, it's not, if that was to be implemented in a school, it would not be that efficient, I guess. And they did plays, the school students, they did plays, they did experiments with chocolate to test how long it takes to melt under the sun. We're using foil and plastic. They created vases, they did windmills. So again, this is what they got out of this is ESD for them, this is what they understood about ESD. This one was a truck. He did a truck out of wood. You can open it actually and put stuff inside. The solar panels using foil or old mirror كده. Okay. Out of the questionnaires, the most significant results the expectations of teachers to be interactive went up. That means they were actually more interactive. And the number of students was challenging. And as I said, it would be more challenging if it was to be implemented with 90 students and 1 teacher. And the difficulties in time management, The more resources, of course, teachers want always to have more resources, and the community were more supportive, and teachers agreed more that the community would be supportive after they actually implemented the project, which is very good. Okay, from the stakeholders' perspective, these were the highlights they said. Everyone, not only the teachers, everyone were disappointed by the role of NGO. They did not actually attend the implementation, so they don't actually know how to, not see the teachers doing it or anything. They just did the needs analysis and that assessment, and that's it. The GIZ role, as described by them, the representative I interviewed, he said that we're just a funding agency, and our role is to keep contact with the political power. So, and this kept changing for 3 years. So in 2000, they worked with the Ministry of Planning in 2012, Ministry of Urban Development, because it keeps changing. So it was very challenging for them to keep up with this, to give the vision to the ministry and work with them on the ground, so they get the acceptance to work with them. The Center for Sustainable Development were challenged by how the GIZ and the Ministry of Education required a lot of paperwork, of course, and the NGO staff, they did not actually have any capacity to cascade the knowledge to the surrounding community. So that would be one of the recommendations, is to embarrass the site. These are some of the student quotes from the themes learning environment, so you can go through them. My dream is to learn the same way during school days. I studied many facts and books, but after the academic year is over, I forget it all. It's all the same things that we say in class, but they actually said it. They actually are now conscious about it, and they are talking about. The last one was very interesting, that teachers actually speak to us. And the fact that teachers are speaking to them is wow. Teachers now make conversations with us, they speak, they don't have, normally they don't have activities, if they do, they cancel it, and it's, the other two themes were barriers for sustainable change, and of course education management and routine was one of them, then we all know about this. Cultural barrier, because it's a project that is funded by a foreign agency coming from the AUC, but definitely must have had for them a hidden agenda. So they were not very confident in the needs assessment to write their names on the questionnaires. It was very suspicious for them. What are they doing in Al-Warraq? Ways for sustainable change, a holistic approach to ESD. You cannot go to one school and educate them about ESD and that's it. You have the education management, they don't understand anything. You have the surrounding community, the other teachers inside the school. It must be a holistic kind of reform. Follow-up and expansion, because they really liked it, so they wanted to have it expand. And the media was proposed by many of them as a tool for sustainability of the project, using the social media, radio awareness campaigns, and so on. In my discussion, I talked about Educanto as they adopted a technocratic, pragmatic approach to ESD. So it's a bottom-top approach, but it did not manage to influence the ministries of education to adopt any of it. Although, according to one of the interviewees, that from SICM, that the UNESCO schools in Egypt, well, they got the approval to disseminate Educanto in all the UNESCO schools in Egypt. But for me, I believe this is still an international effort. It's not national. The ministry is not really working on it. And this was for the communities to empower civil society. They need to have a strong sense of ownership of what's being implemented on the ground. And then the routine and protocols, of course, they remain to be a major obstacle. So my conclusion is that the sustainability of the initiative is still questionable. It's just 3 weeks and that's it. My recommendations would be creating a ESD unit inside the education management, so they will be working with the different schools in the district, so it can be something that is renewable and they can work on it. A clear protocol with the stakeholders, because everyone was working on his own to get approval. Flexibility during project implementations, and this is very important in community work in Egypt, because you need to go back to the project while it is being implemented. It's not just a strict plan we have and we work on it, because things change a lot in Egypt. And I thought it would be nice to assign a group of students to be responsible for ESD activities. They were very inspired by what they did, and they do not expect to be financially rewarded or anything. So they just want to have some entity, kind of entity that is just seeing what they do. And follow-up can be easily done with the students through social media. They all have access to the internet. They all have Facebook accounts. They're very... and the teachers in this project, they worked without getting any financial reward. They only worked for it because they expected to get a certificate to be trainers, to be ESD trainers, which did not really happen. They got only a certificate of attendance, which was very disappointing. And if they worked on it from the very beginning, they know that this is what they will get, they wouldn't have worked for it. My research limitations remain to be that it's only from my perspective, and that the researcher, so I come from the same entity that is a stakeholder in the project. So this might have limited, I am, and the sample size, of course, it was only one school, so it's not a large sample. Thank you.